scenario that some parents face, and it comes up quite often on social media, and it's often sort of around 12 or the early teens, where you have a child who's been home educated, and then they start saying they would like to go back to school. And the parents are conflicted about should they, shouldn't they. A lot of them feel, well, what right do I have to say no and deny my child that experience that every other child has? And it's a tough decision. So let's just talk about some of the pros and cons of that choice and help parents to sort of clarify where they're at.
Please do it.
So my first thing is that when you've got some children at home and some children in school, your family's split. And that for me is probably the biggest thing. So you're now leaving a child at home or getting so that you can quickly rush another one to school, and then there's 8 hours that you don't see them, and then they come back in, and then there's this need to integrate again and do homework. And so you've now homeschooled the one child all morning, and then the afternoon you've got to help the other one with homework, and you complicate your day. That's the first thing I would say. And I've seen it again and again through the years of homeschooling. When there's this split, people handle it, moms do, but it just really adds an additional layer of stress into a home. So for me, that's one of the bigger issues. Then the second thing is that we need to kind of go back and ask, well, why did we choose to homeschool in the first place? So we had specific reasons. What reasons do you see happening now for why parents choose to homeschool, and why that would possibly give them an unstable foundation in which to say, no, we're going to stay with homeschooling?
Well, I think there's some parents that set out and decide from the start, we're going to homeschool because of moral reasons, or they want good family relationships, or they want a better quality academic education, whatever. There are multiple reasons. But there are also those who start schooling and then realize the school system isn't working for their child, or they started during COVID and they've been doing it for a couple of years because of that situation that pushed everybody out of the school system. So there's a lot of different other reasons. It's not always sort of a heart conviction that causes a family to choose home education. But I think for me, the thing is always, you are the parent and you do have the right to say no to your child, because you're older and you're wiser, and you have the authority and the responsibility to decide what is in the best interest of your child. It's not your child's choice what is in their best interest. They're young and they're naive and they're lacking experience and they don't know. So they think the grass is greener on the other side. And, you need to decide, are we going to give them a chance to try it out? And some families do, and they learn the hard way. Within a few months, the children are like, no, this is not really cool. I don't like getting up early and I'm getting bullied at school, or it's boring, or they start to realize that the grass was actually greener at home. And then they revert back to home education. So if you want to do that, you can. Or if there are other reasons that you think it's going to be a good experience for your child, that is your choice. You have the right to choose something if you think it's good for your child. But if you're doing it because your child's nagging and you're feeling guilty and you think you're mean to say no to them, like, I want to encourage you and say, if your heart isn't convinced it's the right thing, discuss it with your child. Tell them the benefits of home education. Tell them why you're saying no. Tell them, listen to them and their reasons, and tell them this is what we do. I have to weigh up the pros and the cons, and ultimately the decision rests with me, but I'll listen to you. And you're modeling a good process to them also for their own life when they grow up. We look at pros and cons, and then we make a decision. And whatever decision you make, it can be reassessed in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. And you can have that conversation again. But, don't feel guilty for saying no if you're convicted that it's not going to be the right thing for your child. Don't let them hamper you and nag you and harass you and bully you to do something that is not good.
Yeah. I was just thinking, that one of our children didn't want to have an eclectic home education all the way through. chose to start Cambridge quite young, finished schooling quite young. And there was a niggle round about 13. Not that he wanted to go to school, that was never the thing. It was just that this wasn't sitting with who he was, right? And that is what we are meant to be doing. We're not meant to be pushing a philosophy of education onto our children and then forgetting the personhood of the child. So for them, they wanted to have more structure. They wanted to be more in control, loved textbooks. I mean, you know, that was a bit of a, I still enjoyed the read alouds and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
loved that way that a textbook was set out, you know, information, test myself, ended up going into engineering. So I can see the mind behind it. And just that conversation when the schooling that I had planned was chafing at the child, was a good conversation to have for them to say, I would really prefer this. And we worked it so that there was contentment and happiness and joy and was able to endure through Cambridge at a young age. So perhaps when children come and say, I want to go to school, they're not actually wanting to go to school. They're wanting to shift and change. And as they mature and they grow, something else needs to be brought in. Perhaps they would like to have a desk in their room and not be working with their younger siblings and having the distraction. So that is why we need to dialogue with the kids and say, why would you think that school is a better option when all of these benefits of being homeschooled are here? Let's talk, let's dialogue. You don't have to, oh, my child wants to go to school. Okay, tomorrow we book them into the next school. To me, that's like kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Use it as an opportunity to dialogue and find out what is actually going on inside the heart of your child and see if you can't find a way to work that in the home. And yes, as you say, you know, at the end of the day, you are like 40 odd years ahead of your child in age. You've got that much more life experience. You know what's going on in the school and what curriculum is being taught and sort of the principles that undergird the curriculum and why, you know, make that decision as a wiser older person.
Be the mom, be the dad, you know, and make this